I want you to imagine you are sitting by a fire late at night, reading a case file that shouldn't exist. Case file 709, The Unsound of Silence. Location: the Bitterroot Mountains, Idaho/Montana border. Date: August 12, 2019. Subject: Elias Vance, 34. Status: missing/presumed deceased. Body never recovered. This isn't a ghost story. Ghosts imply something dead. What happened to Elias Vance feels different. It feels functional, biological, like a predator we haven't classified yet. Let's set the scene. It was mid-August, the kind of summer heat that dries the pine needles until they crunch like glass under your boots. Elias wasn't an amateur. He was a 34-year-old structural engineer. He was logical, meticulous, and fit. He was camping with his family, his wife, Sarah, his younger brother, and his father. They had hiked about 6 miles into a remote basin known for high-altitude lakes. It's beautiful country, but it's big, the kind of big that makes you feel very small very quickly. They set up camp around 3 p.m. The mood was perfect. They had fishing gear. They had a fire going. The sky was a hard, brilliant blue without a single cloud. At 4:15 p.m., Elias told his wife he was going to walk up a small scree slope, a rocky incline, just behind their campsite. He wanted to get a better vantage point to snap a photo of the lake before the sun went down. "I'll be right back," he said. "Start the coffee." He was wearing a bright, neon orange windbreaker. You could see that jacket from a mile away. It was chosen specifically for safety. His father watched him walk up the slope. He watched Elias step over a large, fallen log, maybe 50 yards away. Elias waved. The father looked down to stoke the fire. It took maybe 10 seconds. When the father looked back up, Elias was gone. Now your brain tries to make sense of that. You think he slipped. He crouched down to tie a shoe. He stepped behind a tree. The father waited. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. "Eli?" he called out. Casual. Not worried yet. Nothing. The father walked toward the slope. He wasn't running, just walking briskly. He reached the fallen log, where he had just seen his son standing. He looked over the log. There was nothing there. Just rocks. Just dirt. This is where the story shifts from unfortunate accident to something that keeps search and rescue veterans awake at night. The father later told investigators that the moment he stepped over that log, the world changed. He said the silence didn't just happen. It hit him. If you've been in the deep woods, you know it's never truly quiet. There's wind in the pines. There are squirrels chattering, insects buzzing, birds calling. It's a constant hum of life. But the father said it was like someone had flipped a switch. The birds stopped mid-song. The wind died instantly. The air went still and heavy. He said he felt a sudden, intense pressure in his ears, like he was deep underwater or in a rapidly descending elevator. He screamed for Elias, and the sound of his own voice, he said it sounded flat, like the woods were absorbing the sound, eating it, refusing to let it travel. The family began to panic. They fanned out. They screamed until their throats were raw. Elias had been 50 yards away. He was a grown man in neon orange. He couldn't just vanish. But he had. By 6 p.m., the sun was dropping. And then, the weather turned. Remember, the forecast was clear. 0% chance of precipitation. But out of nowhere, a dark, bruised purple cloud mass rolled over the ridge. Within 20 minutes, the temperature dropped from 75 degrees to 40. Then came the fog. Not normal mist. This was thick, freezing fog that clung to the ground. Then sleet. Then heavy, wet snow. In August, the family was forced to retreat into their tents. They spent the night huddled together, listening to the wind howl, terrifyingly aware that Elias was out there in just a windbreaker. But the father couldn't sleep. He told the police later that around 2 a.m., the wind died down for a moment. He lay there in the tent, wide awake, and he heard something. He said it sounded like metallic clicking. Click, click, click. Rhythmic. Coming from the ridgeline where Elias had vanished. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't a machine. Just this dry, heavy clicking sound in the darkness. Search and rescue arrived the next morning. It was a massive operation. Helicopters, ground teams, and tracking dogs. This is the part that disturbs me the most. The dogs. They brought in 2 seasoned bloodhounds. These dogs had tracked missing children across miles of pavement. They were the best. The handlers brought the dogs to the fallen log, the last place Elias was seen. They gave the dogs the scent article, Elias's pillowcase from the tent. The first dog put its nose to the ground, took 2 steps toward the log, and stopped. It let out a low whine. The hair on its back stood up. It tucked its tail between its legs and backed away, refusing to go forward. The handler tried to command the dog. The dog snapped at him. It was terrified. The second dog did the exact same thing. It wouldn't cross the line where the father said the silence had started. It was as if there was an invisible wall that the animals could sense, but the humans couldn't. The search went on for 7 days. They grid-searched every inch. They looked in crevices, under boulders, in the lake. They found nothing. No footprints, no snapped twigs, no piece of neon orange fabric snagged on a bush. Elias Vance had ceased to exist. The case went cold. The family was shattered. They left the area, leaving their son behind in the wilderness. 3 years later, a group of elk hunters were in a valley about 4 miles away from where Elias vanished. This valley is incredibly difficult to access. You have to rappel down a canyon wall to get into it. It is rugged, boxed-in terrain. One of the hunters spotted something bright in a tree. About 20 feet up in a ponderosa pine, dangling from a branch, was a neon orange windbreaker. They got it down. It was Elias's jacket. Here is the detail that makes your blood run cold. The jacket was in perfect condition. It had been 3 years. It should have been sun-bleached. It should have been tattered by wind and rodents. It should have been covered in mold. But it looked brand new. The color was vibrant. The zipper worked perfectly. And it was zipped up. Not just zipped up the front. The sleeves were turned inside out, and the jacket was zipped up to the chin, as if someone, or something, was wearing it. But there was no body inside. There were no bones at the base of the tree. No boots, no pants, just the jacket, hanging 20 feet in the air, in a box canyon 4 miles away, looking like it had been bought at the store yesterday. The FBI analyzed the jacket. They found no DNA on it other than Elias's. No animal saliva, no blood. There is no logical explanation for how a man travels 4 miles over impassable terrain in a sudden blizzard, climbs a tree, removes his jacket, zips it back up, hangs it on a branch, and then vanishes into thin air without leaving a trace of his body. The father still refuses to go back to the woods. He says he knows Elias isn't there anymore. He says the woods didn't take his son. He says the woods kept him, and sometimes, when it gets really quiet in his own backyard, he says he can still hear that sound. That dry, metallic clicking, click, 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 waiting